I would just pronounce it in the most possible Dutch way. Welcome aboard. And we do know quite a bit about him. And I think the most interesting topic for me is his 5 evaluation methods, because we are generally interested, and I think also the audience is generally interested in what methods are you using. And I like the fact that you just chose 5 evaluation methods, Korstiaan, and also like we want to know about how you looked at 1,000+ startups. I mean, this is the most interesting. I mean, looking at 10 companies is a lot, or 100, but 1,000+, and finding a way through. So yeah, looking forward to it. We can start off because we're really like running a little bit late on our schedule. So it's good to move forward. And then at the end, I'll be coming back to you, Korstiaan, with a few questions.
All right, brilliant. Thank you very much, guys, for this wonderful introduction. Can anybody see my screen? I think they can.
I can.
Let's see how this looks great. All right, so yeah, to kick off, 1,000+ startups, that's a pretty big claim to fame. So let me first of all introduce myself a little bit and run you to today's program. So we're gonna talk a little bit about myself, the outset on what I think is important in life and how this resonated in my investment decisions. And then I want to take the audience into 4 live investment cases, some work that we've done as a VC under the flag of Urban Impact Ventures, and some deals that I've done as a business angel. And then we're going to close off with some hacks we employ when investing. And if there's still some time left, then I'm more than happy to answer some of the questions that you might have had after my story. But first of all, a little bit about myself. I studied business administration and sociology here in Rotterdam at the Erasmus University. I was part of the management team of Mendix, which was a pretty big Dutch software success. And after that, back in 2010, I founded Symbit, which was one of the first equity-based crowdfunding platforms in the world. This is also how you get to the staggering 1,000+ startup experience. Just open up a crowdfunding platform and they will come. Nowadays, I'm helping companies, a little bit bigger companies, in basically their growth path to become an international powerhouse. And I'm affiliated with Urban Impact Ventures as a venture partner. Besides that, I still do some entrepreneurship here and there. So we will be talking about that a little bit more. And I'm also an investor in some of the companies you see listed here, as well as an advisor to the European Commission, as well as the Korean government, which give me yeah, and the poster behind me, that's a little bit how I look at my ID. So it's always about finding that ID that cannot be killed, so to speak. But let's dive deeper into that. First of all, a few lessons in life that have formed my investment behavior. So back in 2015, we just listed Symbit as one of the first equity-based crowdfunding platforms in the world back in New York. We were listed basically trading at $4.50 with a valuation of about $150 million plus. Obviously fantastic. We were really on the pinnacle of a new industry, which was obviously quite exciting for us as a founding team, for our staff, our investors. However, we didn't actually belong there. And we learned quite quickly that money will never solve the real problems that you have in a business. So even if you are at the very forefront of an industry and you're making the money, the real problems are probably not related to money itself. Furthermore, I believe that investing with your heart is a choice, and you should try, if you are in a position to make an investment, also to do that with a little bit of empathy and with love in your heart, as just what the former speaker was talking about in terms of your own team. Furthermore, what I think is important to see is by growing not completely out of control, but pacing yourself. Entrepreneurship is not a sprint, but rather it's a marathon, and you should prepare yourself for that, even if you're a founder. But also as an investor, you will see that it's not just sending the check and giving some good advice. It's really standing side to side with the guys you invested in. Furthermore, your family is the best link to your past and probably the most likely to stick with you in the future. So keep a good grasp on the people surrounding you that provide you with the safety and the environment in order to conduct entrepreneurship or to conduct your investments. It's really important to keep that link, because else you will become that dislinked entity that is just investing into companies, or just pursuing his own dream for, in most cases, money, which isn't the best outset as an entrepreneur. And furthermore, and this is about for entrepreneurs and investors, this is not all about you. This is about creating a sustainable future for all of us, not for the next quarter, not for the next 7 years when the fund is closing down, but really for the generations to come. And we have a fiduciary responsibility to think about the future and the world that we want to live in, not 10 years from now, but 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. So this is very important in terms on how we structure our thinking at Urban Impact Ventures, but also how I structure my thinking as a business angel when investing. And then don't take anything for granted. Make sure that you keep a good outset on everything that you do. Don't take things for granted. Don't think that the materials provided by the companies you invest in that they are true. Go further, go behind the details in order to get the best view on the company that you're trying to invest in. And this same goes for entrepreneurs. Don't just make assumptions. Make sure that you have the validation underneath your assumptions in order to blow away investors and to provide them with the proof to put money into your venture. Then already touched upon earlier, be aware of the changing environment, not only the economic environment. We're living in very strange times, and obviously COVID has been partially due to that. But on the other hand, we are also in uncharted territory in terms of macroeconomic developments. Countries' debts are at a record high, while the stock markets are also on a record high. So we see that our globalized economy is actually on a new pinnacle or a new tipping point in terms of its productivity, but also in terms of its usage and its impact, especially upon the environment. So these are some of the things that, some of the thinkings that have influenced my investment behavior, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into our investment theses. One at Urban Impact Ventures, where we're all about improving the quality of urban life in Europe. Primarily, we see a big gap between the happiness that people endure in Northwestern Europe versus, for example, Eastern Europe. And we believe that there's a big gap that needs to be addressed. And we believe that an entrepreneurial venture fund like Urban Impact Ventures is very well positioned in order to fill in this actual gap. Furthermore, when I look at companies, also as an angel investor, but also as a VC investor, it basically is always about people, product, and process. Basically, who's going to do it, what are we going to do, and how are we going to deliver unprecedented value to our customers. This order is almost always the same. When I do the evaluation, basically I stated here, do I like the team or the founder? This is something you already know within a split second. You already know in your gut feeling whether this is the team or the founder that you want to back or not. Then furthermore, I like to make a deep dive into the product or the service that the company is bringing. And does this bring an unprecedented value to users, which is easily to protect? We see a lot of companies that bring unprecedented value to users, However, they can be quickly overtaken, either by new technology paradigms or better funded competitors. So this is always a very important step in order to determine whether to go ahead with a certain investment or not. And then point three, and this is more about having a longer longitudinal view upon your investment, is how is the value created and distracted on a product and a company level. To start with the first one, the product in itself obviously derives some kind of value towards the buying customer. So how is that value being delivered? How is it distributed? And how can it be easily distracted? But a similar trade-off you also see on a company level. So you see that a company is creating that value, but now you need to think about an investor, how you can distract that value from the company. And this is not in all cases a direct acquisition by an incumbent or an exit. And there's a lot of difference, basically, when we look at the outset of investments, which we do from the VC, from the venture capital firm, as opposed to the angel investments that I've been making. So the differences are quite simple. On an angel investment, it's my own money. I focus on a wide scope of projects. It's a really informal decision-making process on my side, and it definitely withholds a lot of more wild ideas. On the other hand, this is all about tickets between 25K to 100K, in most cases, even pre-revenue companies. Then looking at the LP side of things, we are, or on the VC side, we are working with other people's, their monies, our limited partners. So we have a narrower scope, in this case focusing on urbanization, and we have a pretty formal decision-making process, including an investment committee and a very thorough due diligence process. Especially for urban impact ventures, we pride ourselves in actually attributing with our DD process to a better understanding on how to measure impact. So we have created our own proprietary impact frameworks, which we are directly using in our scoping of the market, and which we are employing directly into our investable universe. This process is always being looped back also to the entrepreneur to also show them and to give them some education on how we look at their company. So this is definitely a more structured approach, and we do tickets between 500K and 2 million euros. In most cases, companies need to be a little bit further developed. So think at least an ARR of about 500K per year. So in order to make this an industry specific exercise for all of us, I took some case examples from the real world. Please handle this information as confidential. However, feel free to use it in your own practice. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you some of the cases that I've been working on, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of the outset why we have decided. This is more or less an interactive part. So here we go. This is one of the first companies. You see the QR box on the page right lower end. If you scan this QR code, you will directly go to the website of this particular company. And I've arranged for all of you that you can either have like a month free trial or what have you, that you at least can road test this software that I've invested in. So that's a little bit of a give to all of you aspiring investors and entrepreneurs to basically take a look at what we've been doing and how we are and how we went about our decision. So let's talk about Storo. Storo is basically, it offers a distributed and encrypted storage for private collaborations. So it's really a B2B tool used to send over big files. So we compete a little bit with WeTransfer here and with Dropbox, but we are more niche specific. The website is storo.com. I will make sure that everybody of you receives the link to to the side. Anyway, so what we have seen is that Storo was a pretty interesting company. There was already 2 million invested into the company by some regional development agencies here, and their technology was really interesting in terms of how they do things differently than, for example, Dropbox or WeTransfer. Furthermore, I identified that the team was very strong. So the 4 FTE technology guys here were together for a longer period of time. And this worked really, really nicely in terms of creating a high-performance team, really able to come up with some new-to-the-world technology. So the total investment here was 350,000 euros. This was a post-revenue company, and we decided to acquire the company as a whole because we thought that the total investment in terms of the actual potential was worthwhile. Meanwhile, the complete team has been given equity incentive plans in order to basically keep them involved with the company on a very granular level. In this case, we've been working due to the really shitty, excuse my French, taxation regime of the Dutch government in terms of share-based compensation for staff. We have provided them with share appreciation rights. So this is a more tax-friendly thing for the employees themselves. Meanwhile, we've won some pretty interesting awards. So back in 2019, we've won the European Startup, or we were the top 3 European Startup of the Year award, and we won the World Tour Startup Battle from Fujitsu, which gained us a lot of interest and a lot of inline. And basically, that was the one that put us over the edge, and investing 350,000 euros directly into the company, acquiring the whole company. And I'm really looking forward to what everybody thinks of this new kind of super secured way of sharing information. You can also use it for your own due diligence folders, which then are becoming pretty secured instead of, for example, a Dropbox. So I really like this company to a great extent. And moving onwards to Gemango 360, as I love the e-commerce space, I love the online space, and I already identified, say, 5 years back, that everybody who's not having a mobile e-commerce capabilities is probably gonna lose the e-commerce wars and is probably gonna lose the retail wars. That's where Gemango 360 comes in. Gemango offers a mobile commerce solution in both emerging and emerged markets. So in emerging markets, they're working for example, Up InBev, helping the largest beer brewery in the world, basically selling off its beer in Africa. On the other hand, they are offering about 350 companies throughout Europe with a very nice, easy to use mobile solution, which basically is a plugin on all the given e-commerce platforms, which obviously creates a very nice ecosystem play, which we are currently obviously reaping the benefits of in terms of the COVID crisis and the large demand for mobile and e-commerce solutions currently prevalent basically all around the world. So it's a team about 70 FTE. We have 62 persons working on our technology back in Hanoi in Vietnam. We have a small commercial team here in Amsterdam. The main commercial route here is via our e-commerce partners or via implementation partners. So that way we can basically get off with a very small commercial team. We see the competition as being existing e-commerce platforms that will become which will have mobile solutions. Think, for example, Shopify, BigCommerce, and obviously there's bespoke software development or no-code, low-code kind of developments, which are currently being seen as substitute products by the management. However, the claim to fame of Gemango was very interesting. So they patented basically their global technology. They were adopted already years ago by big brands in order to basically streamline e-commerce, and they directly integrate with about 60% of these platform offerings already, providing basically an in-platform ready-to-use mobile plugin. Furthermore, they employ a pay-as-you-grow model, which is obviously quite nice if you want to try out the mobile channel, which currently a lot of retailers are doing. So the total investment was about 2,000 euros. The ownership came back to 2.4%. The reason for the investments were technology, market developments, a global solution and globally patented, that is, and a great customer portfolio, which in my case makes them kind of an ideal acquisition target for the larger currently listed e-commerce platforms. So moving on here to Suplink. Suplink is an interesting technology company. It's basically a link shortener. So it's just like Bitly, only this is the only link shortener in the world that allows you to put your brand name first. So it's basically not Bitly / your brand, it's your brand / an action trigger, which results in far better conversions. So it's a pretty interesting tool which can be used also to derive raw data from closed loop platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. And this way we're providing with Suplink a lot of insights into large e-commerce operations, and it provides our users basically with raw data from big tech, which we all know they don't like to share that much. So what we have done here is basically we made a small investment of 50,000 euros. The company back then was already post-revenue. We acquired 15% of the company shares. We did this in a very short lead time because I think that the company in itself deserves more attention rather than the due diligence process, especially if your investment is on the low end of the spectrum. And for everybody who's in e-commerce, again, I already said it, you can use it a month for free. The team of Suplink is more than willing to set you up and just to experience how it is when conducting business in an online environment where you do have all the variables, where you do know how many clicks you got on your Facebook links, on your Instagram links, on your WhatsApp bots, etc., etc. All right, moving onwards. So the last, I think it's the last deal for today, is Linked Pro. As everybody know, LinkedIn is basically the premier business interaction platform currently in the world, acquired by Microsoft. I think many of you have seen the IPN conference announcement on LinkedIn, and it's currently also being used here to leave your testimonials. I would definitely ask all of you to really do that. But let's dive deeper into Linked Pro. So what does Linked Pro basically offers a solution that cultivate leads via the LinkedIn platform. So basically they have a flexible skill of workers which are sitting together down with you as a company. They make the persona on who you want to sell, and they start reaching out to third-party connections of your company. A human then starts interacting under your sales director or under your name directly with people on the LinkedIn platform. They use the actual data coming from those conversations to analyze these conversations to see whether there's a positive buying intention or not. And if there is a positive buying intention, they directly loop back the lead to you. This way, you basically only have to deal with the hot leads that they can derive from LinkedIn, making your sales organization far more effective. So we have 9 FTE here in the commercial department when I got into the company. One guy basically building the technology because these guys use the no-code platform from Mendix. Mendix is, as said, my former employer, and they basically utilize that software to a great extent. I will get back to all the questions, guys, later on. Give me a few minutes and I will wrap up this slide. We're here in direct competition with call centers, and our claim to fame, quite simply, is 35% conversions via LinkedIn platform and creating a full conversational database. So with all the conversations we have made, we can now tell you, for example, the best time slot. FTE means full-time equivalent. So it's basically one person working for you full-time. And the full conversational database here basically means that we can pinpoint, for example, the best time slot to contact a director in Germany. But we can even go to a city level, so we can give you the best tone of voice. We can give you the best time to basically reach out to a sales director or a CEO in Frankfurt. So this was kind of an interesting proposition, and as sales is always the most important thing when you're looking at a startup, like can they really prove the sales traction? I think it's a very interesting technology also for all of you to try out. I think sales is king, technology is fantastic, and their unique position within LinkedIn is great. Do we still have some time for some questions, or? All right, guys. Then, if you have any questions, just let me know. You can quite easily find me, and probably you will get the presentation, which also has my email address.
So we have some questions from the audience, Korstiaan. I love your presentation for sure, but we do have to stick to our time schedule already, like running late. I'm very sorry because your presentation is full of hidden gems, good knowledge, and I'm sure the whole audience can implement your ideas and the vision you have. Like I learned a lot from it myself. So let's just stick to at least two questions for now, because I saw it pass by 2 times, and it's, what are your favorite industries to invest in?
That's a good question. I really currently like the primary industry, so I'm pretty much involved in food logistics, basically how to find the shortest route from route to plate, while not being very pollutive.
With good tasty food, I assume. So it's I think it's definitely good and interesting, and you do see that a lot of people want it more faster nowadays. So it's definitely interesting. Then for the last question of today, for you at least, and if people have more questions, please keep them in mind, because we have a panel in about 2 hours. So like, what startups are you like mostly investing in right now? Like, and what are amounts and the markets? Do you like really focus on Dutch startups or European, or is it also like, let's say, African or Asian startups?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Urban Impact Ventures has a predominantly European focus. So we are really focusing upon startups in urban mobility, infrastructure, digital infrastructure. We also look quite heavily into voting processes, like electoral processes, because we believe that is a little bit old-fashioned, especially here in the Netherlands, where we had our votings yesterday. So there was a lot of paper and a lot of red pencils being used, and we believe that can be done better. In terms of my angel investing, it's more on a global scale. So there are some participations in Korea. There is some in the US. So I don't shy emerging or emerged markets. We do have facilities. So for example, with Gem Mango, we are in Vietnam. We do a lot in South Africa. So that there is basically, I think you need to adopt a global perspective anyway.
Yes, I fully agree, and it's very good to hear your side of the story. I'm looking forward to meeting you next week, and thank you so much for your time today. Amazing presentation, and we're actually have to say goodbye to you for now.
For now.